All right, good afternoon, everyone. Futures Barizio here, 2:20 p.m. on Tuesday, July 8th. Hope everybody's having a good start to the week. Back from the holiday week and here in the U.S. anyways last week. So kind of back to normal trading conditions, albeit a little bit slower because of summertime, but at least we don't have any more big holidays to contend with here until Labor Day in September. So, as always, just smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, leave any questions or comments below, and we'll just jump right in, do a quick review here. So, we'll start in futures. This is natural gas. You can see I am holding a short in this asset. It looked like maybe we were starting to go back to the upside. But as I said the other day, I like to look at, in futures, I like to look at like the 4-hour time frame to set my structure levels. And I did say that this appeared to be a good structure level. And so we had this big, strong candle yesterday that came up here and took out this little minor structure area here, but this overall big structure was never in jeopardy. And so we came up and we swept liquidity for anybody that maybe was trying to buy above this zone, and came back down, came up, swept it again, and then started going down today. And I got in this morning on this candle during the just the pre-market. Technically, it was probably around 8:30 this morning. And so I'm going to just hold this long for now. This short. And we'll see how that goes. Did want to jump over to TradingView, and I've talked about this before. And, of course, in futures, you're limited. The price data you can see, especially the higher up you go in time frame, is limited because it's a futures contract. It has a limited life. And so when you start getting up to like daily time frame, 12-hour daily or higher, you're not going to have a lot of price data on the chart because, again, a futures contract is only available for a limited time. So it doesn't build out a lot of that long-term price data like in the futures market, the Forex market, where you can go back pretty much as far as your broker will show. And so you can really look at patterns and normal flow of a particular asset. So one way around that in futures is to look at what they call the CFD market, which is basically like the cash market, the real price. So this is natural gas CFD, and I'm on TradingView here. So the chart is going to look very, 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 very much like probably pretty much identical to the futures market, which is nice. But the good thing is you can go out to higher time frames. You can go like to a daily chart, and now I can see, I get a really good overall picture of the price action here on the daily chart that I might not get on the futures chart. So in natural gas, you can clearly see, from here we're going down, making lower highs and lower lows. We did get hung up a little bit at this little support level right here, but it looks like we're probably going to take that out. So if I were looking for, depending how long I decide to hold my short, this area like right here would be sort of like the area I'd be looking to target. Oops. Right in there. And so the price itself at this area may not line up exactly with the futures price, because again, this is a CFD versus the futures price, but the chart patterns are going to be pretty much the same. And so basically I would monitor the CFD price, and when it gets down, if I was holding a short down to here, once it got down to like into this area on the CFD chart, I would close it on my futures chart too. So I do keep CFDs for all of the futures contracts that I trade. So I'll refer to those in addition to showing my futures chart. And so, using the stochastic, this is a stochastic indicator. You can also see, this gives pretty good signals here. This obviously was a great place for a short, crossing back through the oversold area. And if we go to a 4-hour chart, again, here's that same structure level that you saw me draw on the futures chart, right here. And of course, this was a good entry place back here for a short. And then we had another one right here, which is basically the one off of today. This one didn't quite get up into the overbought area on the CFD, but you can still, it's the same kind of thing, right? So anyways, I just wanted to kind of point that out, that this is another way to help you analyze trends on the futures charts if you can't get enough price data. If I go back to this chart, this is now the futures chart of that natural gas. If I go out to a daily chart, you can see this is the only data I get. All right, it's not really very much. I mean, I suppose you can still trade from this area, but I can't really see that. I don't see that low that I pointed out on the CFD chart. That low does not appear here on the futures chart because there's no price data. You can see the price. I know you can't see the extreme left edge of my screen, but there's only a couple of bars to the left of this, and there's big huge gaps because there was no volume being traded until we got like basically into this area of time, like in April, early April, mid-April. That's where we started filling in some of this volume. So I can't see that big swing low that I see on the CFD chart. And so I'm just kind of trading blindly to the downside when there is a potentially good target place on the CFD chart, on that daily chart right here that I drew out. All right, I can't see this low on the futures chart. Okay, so it's just another way you can help analyze the trends and find, kind of get that complete picture of the price, and also kind of like look for some target areas, especially on higher time frames, where you can potentially target for take profit levels in particular. All right, but it allows you to see those major swing highs or swing lows on the high time frame that you are potentially going to miss on the futures chart because you just don't have the data. All right, so I hope that makes sense. So let's go back here now, and we'll just keep going and just blast through these. 10-year yields continue just to rocket. I have completely missed these moves. Unfortunately, a lot of these entries are happening when I'm not in front of the chart. So it's unfortunate. But again, this is the 4-hour chart. And again, if I zoom to the daily, again, you see very little price data. And again, I know you can't see the extreme left edge of my chart, but there's only a little bit more price data here. And it's pretty spotty. And this is it. So again, I can set levels here on the 4-hour chart. But now, again, if I jump over to TradingView, here are the 10-year yields on TradingView. Here's that 10-year yield chart. And again, on the futures chart, I'm only seeing probably from about this high, like basically the length of this. Well, actually, I'll tell you exactly. No, we're not ready to do that yet. On the futures chart, this started, let's see, it looks like about June, beginning of June, let's just call it. And over here, this is so it's not even. So on the futures chart, I am only seeing basically from about this area to here, to where it is now. I'm not seeing any of this price action prior to basically this blue candle right here. All right, so you can see what I'm missing here. So now I have a trend line drawing here. We have a clear trend line break, and we do appear to be going higher. Now, technically, there is some structure area sitting up here. There's a structure area about where price is now, and there's another one up here. These are basically all just structure areas. They also happen to be where they've come in contact with the trend line. But when I go out to the daily chart, I see what looks to be, a pretty aggressive beginning move to the upside. We may get some pullbacks off this area, but again, if I want to think about long positions here, I would look at this chart and I'd say, okay, where's a good area to target for this market? And we have this high we've got this swing high sitting right here, okay? That I think is a good area. Now, again, that we could have reactions off of this area and this area. I am watching these two structure areas right here, but I don't think these are going to hold necessarily because we've seen a very bullish, we've now had 1, 2, 3, 5 bullish days in a row, which have smashed right through this trend line. And, on these pullbacks, we had two candles here, two candles here. We're now at 5 candles. We had price rejection down here. So overall, I am bullish on this. And again, using the CFD chart, I can say, well, this is a good area to potentially target. If I can find an entry on the futures chart on a shorter time frame, this is, if the CFD chart continues to move up, when it gets back to this area would be a great place to manage the trade, to exit, take profit. You can see it's a swing high here. It also previously hit this area right here and also basically back here. So this area, for whatever reason, is being watched for liquidity around this 4.6 area. And so I think this is a good area, and this is plenty of headroom because this is a daily chart for this to get up there. I mean, this could take a couple of weeks to get up here. So there's plenty of opportunity. So the bottom line is I'm looking for long entries on this chart. Okay. And so I will just continue to probably just use things like stochastic, which is what this indicator is, because I'm not getting a lot of good swing structures here on this hourly chart. So, but I do get some decent signals using the stochastic indicator. So to wait for price to get this indicator to get down near this minus 20 area or 20 area, either, at it or below it, basically into an oversold area, and then look for a re-entry that way. Okay. So that's 10-year yields. Corn continues to move down. I did not take anything in corn. There actually was a good entry on Sunday, but I missed it. I don't generally trade on Sundays anyways, and this was the market open right here. This really weird looking candle. But price did pull back. But again, this entry I think happened, let's see. So the entry would have been right here. And this was about 6 o'clock in the morning. So I'd probably miss that one anyways, just for the time. But again, it's the same process. If I go over and look at corn. So here's the CFD of corn. I'm going to go to the daily chart and I can zoom out here. And we can see that we have a major swing low sitting back here. And so this is a good management area. And again, I cannot see this low on the futures chart because this goes back too far. All right. This low happened back August of last year. So we definitely will not have that view. So I would continue to look for shorts and use this as a management point. So there's still room here. This is a daily chart. So any pullbacks on corn on the futures chart on a short time frame, I would look for re-entry. Okay, so we don't have that right now. I don't have my stochastic indicator on here. I guess I can put it on here now and just throw that on here. Let's see. Yeah, this one's good enough. And, we can try to look for some re-entries using this stochastic indicator. You can see the stochastic on this asset doesn't really work all that great. It doesn't really give us those nice pullbacks into overbought unless we have these huge rallies like this. But like this was an entry, but you can see the stochastic barely got above the 50 line. And then we actually had a little entry today, although it hasn't done much. And that really gave no indication. So that's why I didn't have it on there. I can shorten the stochastic. This is a 5 period. It doesn't really give me any better look. So I'm going to, play around with this one. But overall, again, the bottom line is I'm short on corn, or, I have a bearish bias on corn, at least down to this area here, somewhere around the 380 zone is a pretty good target. All right. And then last on soybean, you can see I am holding a short on soybean. Is a very late entry, but I'll show you again why on the CFD. It's very much like corn that I got in on this today. And, obviously the entry was further up here. I guess I got the CCI indicator on here. If we throw the stochastic on here, you know, here's our entry on the stochastic right here. The stochastic crosses out of the overbought area here, and that lines up with, and this is the 4-hour chart, by the way, that lines up with basically right in here with this gap. And if we go to an hourly chart, there's the entry there on the hourly chart, and it is actually a better entry. That gets us in basically up here. So the stochastic does work on soybeans. Just for whatever reason in corn, it doesn't. It probably just has to do with the volume being traded. It's just that it doesn't make the indicator reactive enough. So I'll have to play around with that. And again, if we jump over to TradingView and we look at the corn, the soybean CFD, again, here's the daily chart. And let's kind of stretch this out a little bit. You can see that we potentially have a lot of room to the downside. Now, the first layer I see here is right here. You can see just looking to the left, this area right in here has been very reactive. So this is a good conservative target. There obviously are two other areas you can clearly see below. We've got this one right here. And we've got this one down here. So, I mean, you can manage the trades through here, but you can see at least in the near term, this area right here, which has been a very big area of previous support, multiple times going back to last year, probably a half a dozen, 8 times it's tagged this area and bounced. I think are good areas. Now, it could break right through there and go to this one or go to this one, but I'm just saying the bottom line is, I remain bearish on corn over the next several days at least, and then we'll see how it goes. But again, I can't see these levels on the futures chart. Excuse me, I keep saying corn, soybeans. And so, that's how I use the CFD chart. And basically, again, all it is a cash chart. It's basically, like looking, it's basically like the spot price, kind of like a Forex chart, right? It's all just the spot pricing. CFD is contract for difference. But again, it's basically the spot price as opposed to the futures price. And again, those prices can be a little bit different, but the patterns that you're seeing on the charts are probably going to match up. And you can still use the levels. You just can't just fully rely on the price. Like this area down here, well, actually, the current price is, the market's closed now, 10.152. So if we go over and look at the futures chart, it closed at 10.202. Okay, and this is at 10.152. So you can see the prices are slightly different. That's why you can't go by you can't compare the prices exactly, but you can use the levels and the chart patterns, and again, mainly the price levels on the CFD chart to help you find areas on the futures chart. Okay, and although I can't see this level on the futures chart, basically, if I'm watching the CFD, right, I'm watching the CFD and it comes down to this level right here, right, it comes down to here, okay. Then at that point, if I'm still holding the short in the futures contract, even though I might not see this level, I may consider either closing that trade or at least moving my stop into some profit and just basically protect the position in case we do get a reaction off here. Okay, it very well might break through there, so maybe I don't exit. Maybe I target this middle one, which is a nice compromise. This is a nice kind of compromise area right here. That's in between these two levels, but whatever. The bottom line is I'm just waiting on the CFD to hit these areas, and then I'll go back and manage my futures trades. Okay, so that's it. So again, overall, bearish on soybeans, natural gas, and corn, bullish on 10-year yields. That's essentially it for what I trade. All right. So a quick look at Forex. The only long I'm holding in Forex, I'm holding a long on dollar Canadian. And again, this is just basically based on 4-hour market structure. We do have this overall downtrend structure sitting up here, but I did see basically this higher low put in right here, where you can see we're stair stepping up a little bit. And as soon as we put in this higher low and started going higher, I jumped in today. You know, I mean, I think this market is probably still in a downtrend. However, if you go to the higher time frame, this is the 12-hour, you can see that it looks like we failed to make a new low right here, and the price is going higher. So we may have, you know, fallen on a higher low right here, and price is now turning and going back up. So I don't know if this structure area will hold, but I do think, you know, on this long position, at least coming back and probably targeting like this area. There's obviously a liquidity area here and here, and then obviously this major swing point here. That gives a little headroom running up to here. I know we'll see what happens. I mean, if price comes up and smashes through this level, we get a nice bull close on, say, a 1 to 4 hour chart, then my bias would turn more long. So I do think this is technically still a counter trend trade when you're looking at the price structure on the 4-hour chart. But again, this higher low, it does appear we did put in a higher low on the 12-hour daily. We did not break this low right here, and price clearly is moving higher. So this may be it for the downtrend. Okay, so that's it. On these other pairs, we do have some stair stepping down on the euro dollar, so it's probably the same on all of our dollar pairs. You know, here's the Aussie dollar. We do have this strong low sitting down here on Aussie dollar, so that's still kind of sitting out there, and you can see that area clearly on the higher time frame. So and you know, dollar Canadian was going up, and here is the dollar yen. You can see this is definitely being driven by higher dollar prices. You know, and we were kind of ranging here, but it does look like we're moving higher on dollar yen. The higher time frame still has a lot of consolidation showing here. So, you know, we'll see when we get up into this area. You can see looking to the left, you know, in here, a little blow through right here and right here. We had a lot of resistance. So I do expect price will get up near this red line, and then we'll just have to see what it does. But I do think, you know, longs up until at least this area on dollar yen are probably warranted. But I would personally want to see a break above these highs on dollar yen to sweep out this area and go higher before overall my bias would change. But you can also put a little trend line here on this recent price action and see that we are definitely moving and getting higher lows put in right here. All right. So overall, I think the dollar has some strength, which of course is going to push down these dollar crosses. That's why we're seeing downward price action on the pound USD. Aussie USD has been pretty strong and resilient, but it appears to be coming under some pressure now too. And the euro dollar is, you know, making stair steps down too. So if dollar strength holds in there, then those are potential areas to look for short positions on those. And then here on the pound versus the yen, you can clearly see we've been in an uptrend, and we are approaching those some pretty significant highs. Actually, we're at them right now, so we'll see as we get here. But whenever I see, regardless of what time frame, whenever I see this kind of multiple levels with multiple touches like this is what I call kind of like a retail area where prices will get up here. Retail sellers will try to step in and push it lower because they're seeing this previous reaction off this zone. But you know, if price gets above this zone, which usually it will after multiple touches, then this area will no longer hold. You can see we have currently a pretty strong daily candle forming here. So we'll see how it goes. But, you know, if I move this line up, we get past these highs, which is the top of this little range right in here, then we're going higher, and a good target would be back up here, you know, towards the top of this daily high, swing high up here. And I don't usually like these areas right here. They may have a temporary reaction. The sellers will try to step in here, or people that are long may take profits in here, and that will push the price down. But you can clearly see we've got this swing low here on the daily chart, and this area would have to be breached before that would negate this uptrend. I would have to see a breach of this daily low right here before I would, you know, think about this uptrend being over. So again, I do expect to see some sort of pullback in here, but ultimately, as long as this area holds, I think we'll smash through here, and then potentially you can look for longs back up towards this region in here. Okay, so I'm just going to leave it there. And again, guys, that's kind of the wrap for today, and what I'm looking at going forward. And that's it. All right, so I appreciate it, guys. Again, smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, leave questions or comments down below. I will be around tomorrow, which is Wednesday, normal day, and then I'm actually heading out of town again on Thursday into next week. I will be watching the charts, but I don't know if I'll be making any videos after tomorrow. I may be off YouTube for probably a week or so. I'll try to jump in, but you know, I don't think it's going to really change. I think basically what I was showing here in terms of where I think price is going, unless we have a big news event that just smashes price to one of those target areas over the next week, I don't think that bias will change. I do think it'll probably take at least several more trading sessions for those potential target areas to be hit. So basically, you know, after, I'll try to make a video tomorrow, but after that, I think over the course of the next 5 or 6 trading days after that, I don't expect anything to really change. So, so even though I won't be around, I still think that will provide good potential bias on where prices might be going over the next week. All right. Anyways, guys, I'll leave it there. Have a good rest of your day. Questions or comments, leave them down below. Smash the like button on the way out, and I'll talk to you later.